and I'm live. We say hello to the elephant in the room, receiving the gold medal, and some mysterious dude named C.W. Chanter who bears a strange resemblance to my watermark. Hmm, hmm, what might that be about? Injecting a little personality into. I have no idea if anyone will join this live stream. I have no idea if anyone will join this live stream. We're going with the old build it. If you build it, they will come. If you build it, they will come. This space doesn't exist on YouTube, but I would want it to. I would desire it to. I desire it to, but it doesn't exist. It doesn't exist. So I have to make it happen. If it's going to exist, if it's going to come into being, I'm, I, I'll have to. I'll have to will it into being. And it may be a success. I may be able to get it going. I might not. Only time will tell. And you know, if 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 it doesn't, it doesn't. But I will still have had the energy and the effort and the enjoyment that I've had so far. And nothing ventured, nothing gained. And like I said, I'll still have had the experience. I'll still be doing what I'll enjoy doing. And it'll still serve a purpose. I got a great comment on my last video, and didn't want to wait any longer to make more content on this channel. And I felt like I was overthinking it, and I felt like I was just waiting too long. My last channel um, went all sorts of different places, and a lot of it was about it has got to be this lamp. This lamp has got to be just this extraordinary. I just got to kill this lamp. I'm sorry. Let's just see if that happens. And I'm gonna turn. Maybe it's the. Maybe it's the elephant in the room. I don't know. For whatever reason, I'm gonna blame that. I always blame that lamp. It seems to. I gotta say, it's got to be that lamp. But I also did come up and down the stairs. We'll see. We'll see. We have the open door, so we'll see. We'll see. Even though I felt like it does something to the lighting. Maybe if I turn it away from me, we'll see. We'll experiment. I just, I don't want to have to start working with powder. Take the shine down. Anyway, professionalism. Was based around live streaming and going off the cuff. And because of that, I often would compare myself to the structured content of more deliberate channels, and would find my content wanting. But that might be just like you're good at what you're good at, and you might be a fan of other stuff. That you might not be a fan of necessarily the stuff that you're great at. It's often the case that you'll hear the fact that you're like growing up. I was a huge fan of heavy metal music as a teenager, and it was always a real weird experience because constantly I would read in interviews with these musicians, these heavy metal musicians, and especially these like hardcore heavy metal musicians that I was into. And, especially as a kid, it's like a 13-year-old, 14-year-old, you have these, childlike conceptions of like music and music culture and what music culture is about, and being more hardcore than hardcore, and it's commitment to a cause, and all these these silly notions of this is the only kind of music that matters, and this is the ultimate music, and this sort of stuff. So to hear like Kerry King of Slayer, or Chris Poland of Megadeth be like, oh yeah, when I'm not, what kind of music do I listen to when I'm, not on the road with Megadeth or Slayer? I listen to Al DeMilo, or, some jazz guitarist or something. I'd be like, what? Or they'd be like, I listen to like, friggin', the Yellow Jackets or some friggin' fusion crap, stuff that I didn't like, or, God forbid they would mention some, pop monstrosity that I couldn't fathom being, permissible in the halls of cool or whatever. I just unacceptable. How did I get on this tangent? It must have been something to do with permissibility to listener to do different. How the fuck did I get onto that tangent? Being into things that being into people being into things that they're not necessarily good at, or being good at something but being a fan of something else. So like I'm into structured content, so I look at structured content. Like, so wanting to do this new role-playing game channel, I look at people who are doing these structured edited videos, and I want to emulate that. I want to do that. So I love this uh, Noah Patterson's micro chapbook RPG system. Call it what you want. This is part of the problem, right? Do I call it micro chapbook RPG system? Do I call it micro RPG system? The problem is micro RPG. Unfortunately, if you want to enter in a YouTube search system, you're going to see the problem. Micro RPG is you're going to get a lot of hits for Noah Patterson's role playing game system. You're also going to get a lot of hits for a mobile app that's for Android and iOS systems that's called micro RPG. Also, there's at least two other authors, that are currently using the term micro RPG with published materials in this specific solo role-playing genre. That makes it difficult. Also, Noah Patterson themselves, the micro, will use the term micro chapbook RPG to specifically delineate the fantasy setting for the simple solo role-playing game system that can also be used as a group system that can also be but if we start saying micro sci-fi basic system or micro this, it'll get crazy. And how am I possibly going to reach the audience that may be out there that wants to talk about this material as well, unless we have some sort of universal call sign? And it seems like micro RPG or micro chapbook RPG is the best universal call sign to use to get the widest group of people. So, and I'll be jumping all over the place because the whole purpose of this video is to just say, I'm going to talk this, I guess this be kind of like, for want of a better term, like an open podcast about this system. I guess my other videos about that, were, more specifically geared towards, specific titles. I have a whole bunch of titles here, but rather than wait till I was ready to talk about a specific title or had, played through the title or had prepared some sort of statement about one, I said, well, rather than that, let me just kind of come and say, let's just have a space where I have a whole bunch of them and I'll just go through them or talk openly and say, even if a group of people or an audience isn't there for an initial live stream, maybe people will come eventually and see that a live stream happened and will come, if possible. Now, look, I'm going to be completely honest and forthright and open with anybody who hears this video in the future. And I see that there's people that know me from my other channel as well. And I'll say, I say hello to the elephant in the room that I already said. I say hello to Juicy J. There may be people that come from my other channels here, and to those people I say, I love you and thank you so much, for your continued support. But just know and understand that look, I don't want to be a burden. and I don't want to torture anybody. If you're interested in this material, then fantastic. If you're not interested in this material, then you shouldn't really feel the need to watch. Do you know what I mean? Like, if it's nothing to you and you've got an extra computer in your room and you want to, throw me on in the background, or you just find the sound of my voice melodious, or it's worth it to you to see if, like I'll freak out or something. You know what I mean? Like, or we'll accidentally scream about Corey Good or something. Like, great. You know what I mean? But like, but if you're just, you know what I mean? Like, if it's just like, hey, don't worry about it, because I mean, eventually, right? Like it's like, it's like when a relationship falls. Not to say that like relationships fall apart, because like the other channels still exist, and I'll still broadcast there. But it's like, hey, like I don't want, you know what I mean? It's like when people, it's like if I form a new band, or if a friend forms a new band, I go to your first show, right? And I show support. And I'll come to your second. I'll come to like an event show. Like you get a new singer, you know what I mean? Or it's like, you know what I mean? Like, Joey Barron is sitting on drums or some shit. Like, I'll show up to like an event gig, you know what I mean? Like, or it's like, for 35th anniversary, your parents would get married. Well, yeah, I'll show up to the event gig. But you know what I mean? If you're coming, if you got like a, regular weekly residency, baby, do you know what I mean? If you're thinking that my cheeks are warm in that seat on the regular, you know what I mean? You're confusing me for some guy who like, um, really wants to sleep with you. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Like, you know what I mean? You know what I mean? Like back in the day, you know what I mean? My effort that I put into some things, but you know what I'm saying? Like, I'll show up to the event gig. But I'm not gonna come like on a monthly basis, every gig, like, come on, So it's like, don't have to hey, you have permission. You don't have to come to every gig. You know what I mean? So like, and here's the other thing about like, so that's that. So that's to the regulars. Like if you come and you love the sound of my voice and you want to see if I freak out, hey, if you get something out of it legitimately, fantabulous. And you're getting something out of legitimately and fantabulous, then you're getting something out of legitimately. If you're not getting something out of this legitimately for you, believe you me, from my end, believe you me. You know what I mean? Unless you're in the live chat going balls out. The difference between, for me and my ego, the difference between 2 views and 5 views is essentially negligible. For a guy that used to see 35, on some of my live streams when I used to see like 40, viewers, the difference between 3 live people watching me, or like 7 pity views, don't worry about it. Do you know what I mean? Like I'll sink or swim on my own. The micro Chapbook RPG people will be there or they won't be. Do you know what I mean? But like, don't worry about it. My solo career as a nudist or accordion player will either work or it won't. Do you know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? Your love for me will not, pay the rent. So it's like, don't worry about it. Not to say that anyone's watching me for pity, but, just to say, hey, if you are, don't worry about it. It'll be okay. Juicy J adds, freedom of choice. I tune in because you make me laugh, and I like the way you look at shit. Okay, there you go. See, you're getting something out of it? You're getting the way I look at shit. Well, listen, for those who don't know, on my other channels, what he's referring to is my defecation appreciation streams. It's kind of like an abstract art thing. CW Chant, check out the channel CW Chanter. It's a joke. I don't look at shit. Well, I used to now analyze a guy called Corey Good all the time, but I had to set a lot of those videos to private when he sued me in federal court. There's legacy here. RPG guys, there's legacy here. I've got a backstory. Find out about me. But hey, that's another thing. Cocky Gherkin. Allegedly. Talk about pity views. Yeah. Well, if I was hard up for pity views, I'm not up, not now anymore. I'm a tarot reader now. Yes. Well, we all are. Listen, we expand. Listen. Speaking of the bottom of the barrel, oh, this is funny. Well, this will actually bleed to the other thing. So, speaking of like pity views and talking about like, talking about niche audiences. So, I was doing trying to do like a realistic estimation of like, well, what am I trying to do here in this RPG channel, especially when I'm focusing in on this system, because the reason why I'm focusing on the system is legitimate. Like this like it's not just like this is just the Noah Patterson library that I have in the office. This is just what I have in the office. Now, granted, I read more than I play. I mean, look, and these books are not expensive. So this is why I've acquired a lot of the reason why I've acquired so much. They're collectible at the price that they're released at, and we'll talk about it. But because there's so many of these, I do realize that there is that part of the appeal might be part of the hindrance, because I remember when I wanted to start getting into it, people sing the universal song, "Where do you start?" And there's a video by Noah about where to start, but the video is a year old. And Noah Patterson produces material with such rapidity. They are the Stephen King of solo RPG authorship. Now, a lot of that has to do with the fact that this material is not, I don't think, is difficult to produce at scale, because and that's part of the things that we could talk. There's a lot to talk about here. There's a lot that I'm interested in talking about here, and hopefully, if other people are interested in talking about it here, they'll come. Like I said, I understand that there's a healthy discussion that happens on Facebook that I'm not privy to, because I'm not going to go to Facebook, and I'm not reactivating that account. I don't want to. I do see Noah's blog, which is largely promotional, and I do see their YouTube output and their Instagram output, which again is largely promotional. I do see the feedback that is left for them on Amazon, in the form of reviews. And I've also seen, I think every single YouTube video that's been made about this system so far. And what's interesting to me is, and I've noted this in past videos that I've made, is that, and part of the reason that I want to go full forward with covering this material so much on this channel is there can be no doubt that the majority of YouTube coverage of this system like occurred like approximately like a year or like 2 years ago, and there's been like a real drop off. Like there was just this like there just isn't like it's just not. I mean, it's first of all, this is a niche world. Tabletop role playing itself, it's is the Pareto distribution writ large. It really is. 80% of all tabletop role playing game, the entire tabletop role playing game universe, literally is Dungeons and Dragons. There it is. It is not debatable. Like 85%, up to 90% of all tabletop role playing in America is Dungeons and Dragons. And the lion's share of that today is 5th edition. Like that's almost everything is one bag. Like imagine if like there was one musical artist that was like responsible for like 90%, 80% of, and these are like kind of made up numbers, but they're not that off, of the listening hours that were occurring in the youth of a given country. It's staggering. So to say that this is a niche of a niche. So if you go down to, if you start ranking down the numbers and start going down the animal food chain and start thinking of like analogies or, to other kind of environments like the music world, like, you know what I mean, in music scenes, like this is a small scene, right? This isn't punk rock. This is like crust punk. No, no, no. This isn't crust punk. This is like San Francisco D-crust, sub punk, squatter core, San Fran power violence. This is like, niche of a niche of a niche of a shoebox in a corner niche, right? This is so if I'm trying to say, oh, let's do a place, let's try and set up a space where people could come and talk about this, like on a regular, like on a weekly, like what? Like I'm thinking of appealing to what's the size of the potential size of the community. Like, and that's what I say, like realistically, like, is this possible? Because if I look at Noah Patterson, the author of this material's own YouTube channel, he's got like, I think like 2,000 subscribers. And his like average views for his promotional material is like the views aren't that great, which is and this is not me trying to be like, yo, your views suck. What's up, trash man? Like you blow. Like that's, and I apologize for any misgendering that's implied by that, but that may have been implied by that statement. That has more to do with the encoding of the term trash man in association with the song than anything else. Though I could use a little glitter in the beard. Wouldn't help. It wouldn't hurt. Anyway. So anyway, and typical me, we are 22. Well, actually, this is not typical me. I'm actually moving at light speed. I'm at 22 minutes and 44 seconds in, and I'm about to give we're at 22 minutes and 44 seconds speech in, and I'm not yet, haven't even kind of broached the subject. But I guess I have broached the subject, so I'm wrong. But it is what it is. But then again, and I don't mean to be so narcissistic as to suggest that I would be some sort of moving the changing the course of the river. But then again, if there's only X amount of look, if there are only like X number of viewers, then if you increase that if there are only 10 fans of a given artist and you introduce 10 of your friends to that artist, you literally double size of that community, which is not to suggest that the size of this community is 10 people strong. Believe you me, I think that there's a size. I don't think that there's a 1-to-1 ratio between fans of this system and viewers of the author's YouTube channel, whatever. But you get what I'm saying. There's various factors to take into account. We'll see. We'll see. So I'll just move on and say, and we'll see if there is no response, if there is no desire, then there will be no response or desire, and I assume that my interest will naturally fall to eventually just a standard approach to reviewing the stuff in a more traditional way, or what have you. Another thing that I wanted to do that hopefully other fans of this system would appreciate would be to create an area where this system could be discussed, where we wouldn't. One thing that I notice with every single video about this system is, and this seems to be, I think, endemic to the material, is there's something about the simple nature of the material that invites you, that tempts you to want to explain it in full. But obviously that creates a drag. So every single video that you see on the subject oftentimes almost goes through the entire rule set, and my videos about it, do so as well. And that's interesting because it's almost on point, because one of the things that I saw today was a review, a kind of a negative review given of this book on Amazon. And it's funny because I think if you look at my last discussion of this book, you might say that my review was maybe not necessarily negative, but was, I don't like change. So, I was talking about the rules, and the rules have been rewritten a lot. And that's another thing. Like, I would love to talk to meet other people in this community, not on Facebook, because there are interesting things. As a community, I think there'd be interesting things to discuss about, like the notion that, like, so I kind of organize things here in this office with the books that I have in this office. Let me do this. Here. Look, I talked about this last time. Here's the basic edition rule book. This was published, I think, in April of 2021. Okay. So this is 1.75 edition rules. So the video that I discussed earlier with Noah talking about the where to get started in Micro Chapbook RPG, they kind of lay out a kind of a 3-stage development. And then they summarize by saying that everything from now on is going to refer to this basic rule book and the advanced character thing. Oh shit! Check this out! Hold on! Wait! Actually, hold on! Wait! Watch this! Hold on! Wait! Whoa! Hold on! Wait! I've gone advanced. I learned something today. Watch this. Hold on. Excuse me. This will blow your mind. No, it won't. This is like the silliest thing ever. Hold on. Yes! Check this shit out. Look at this. How the monkey becomes man. Watch this. You ready? You ready to get your mind blown? Who's ready to get their mind blown? Jesus, Jay's ready to get their mind blown. Oh, sorry about the epilepsy. Oh God. Okay, so there you go. Okay, there you go. Okay, so here we go. You ready? Dun, da, 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 da. Wait, hold on. Dun, da, da, da. Hold on, wait. Da, da, wait. Oh shit. Da, da. Dun, da. I figured out how to share PDFs. And I've got a lot of these things on PDF. So the things I don't have in the office, I've got on PDF from Drive Through RPG. So check this out. Homegirl, Noah, was like, yo, everything's going to refer back to, this is as of April 2021. They were like, everything's going to refer back to basic edition or the advanced character guide, which would be this thing, the Micro Chapbook RPG advanced character guide. Okay. So that was like April of 2021. Now that's like 1 year and 5 months ago? right? So that's like not like a lot of time. That's like that's a year and a couple of months. How fast does Noah Patterson work? A year? Yo, this all this material is material. This is like a smattering of the material that has come out like in short order after post this thing. And I don't want to speak too fast. Some of this stuff this definitely has come out. So this just came out. When did the micro rainbow stuff come out? The gay realm stuff came out recently. The gay realm stuff came out on started coming out. Oh yeah, check this out. This is one. Oh, here's one we can do perfectly. This, the Rainbow Unicorn Quest, came out during Pride Month of 2021. So that was February. Was that February? Is that February? Oh, Welcome to Reamsey. Is that February? Because the point being is this. Because we want to be careful. Because the point. So this adventure is designed with the 2021 basic core rulebook at its base. Okay, so but the thing that the point that I'm making is this: is that there's things in this stuff that doesn't necessarily jive, necessarily per se, with the basic edition rulebook. And that was kind of what I said when I talked about when I did my initial analysis of the Midnight series, and I talked about when I initially saw the first one, the Dragons of Dragork, which was, I have no problem with the addition of new rules. I have no problem with Noah doing what she feels that she wants to do with I don't know what to do because pronouns aren't pronounced. The terms queer, gay, trans femme are used interchangeably. Noah identifies themselves as queer and gay and trans femme interchangeably, and I guess that makes sense because they're married to a woman, but they were married to a woman. Hold on. Here's the biographical story. I have to share this because I want to refer to them properly, and they don't tell me their pronouns, and I'm going through stories like this. I'm going to read the whole goddamn March 22, 2021 Happy Pride Month story because I want to read the story. I'm reading the story, but I'm doing the whole thing because this is Micro Chapbook RPG appreciation, the whole universe. This is part of it. Noah's part of it. This is the whole thing's fascinating. Okay, confession time. I'm reading the whole goddamn thing. It's just like, I don't know if this makes sense. I mean, it makes sense. When I say this, I'm not saying, no. Hold on. Whoa. I would never judge. I am not saying, no. I'm not saying that, no. Noah makes sense. Every human makes sense. Every human makes sense. I am not judging. I am saying I don't know if me reading the story makes sense, but I am compelled to read the story because I want people to know why I'm going through this whole I don't know what to say. Because here's the thing. I'm like my whole thing. I'm going through my don't worry about me, but whatever. Okay. But the whole thing is that I'm also concerned because my feeling is like, when I read the story, you'll get, because I'm like a New York guy. I'm from New Jersey, but I'm like right over the bridge. So I'm a sophisticated guy. Sometimes I get the impression like, I don't know how sophisticated some other people are. I don't know, like, I don't know I don't know, like, I'm supposed to be somebody's friend, like, I don't know what to do. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know if they're doing things. I don't know, like, the terms are. I don't know what's going on here. I have no idea what's going on. But it's not for me to say that somebody's doing something wrong. Like, I have no idea what the intentionality is. I have no idea if they're doing like if they're being like, I'm trans femme, I'm gay, I'm queer, I'm trans femme, I have a beard like you, I'm trans femme, bearded woman. Deal with it. Fuck you. You want my pronouns? Here's my fucking pronoun. Say hi to my wife. You want my fucking pronoun, dickhead? Review my RPG. Don't review my RPG. I reported you to the cops for harassment, you dickhead. I have no idea what's going on. I have no idea what kind of hole I'm digging here. But I love this story. Check out this story. This is the best. This is the best. What am I doing? I need feedback. Please, Jesus. Reemsey says, I'm afraid I don't understand how all the pronouns work in real life. So I never figure out game rule pronouns probably. This is fantastic. I just want to let people know, like, I consider my beyond an ally. I have no idea, like, I'm not looking to. Oh, Jesus. Hold on. I picked the wrong day to do a fucking face reveal. Jesus Christ. He's an ex-Mormon. They're an ex-Mormon. I have no idea what I'm. For fuck's sake, how do we not get a pronoun? How do I not get a pronoun? And their Patreon, when you join their Patreon, that you become a queen. It's the Patreon queens. But for whatever reason, when I try to sign up their Patreon, I've tried to sign up to their Patreon like 10 times. And my credit card keeps on getting rejected. But my credit card is like, there's no problem with my credit card. I keep on trying, but like for whatever reason, Patreon is like, you're not a queen. And I'm like, why? I'm like, I've like gone through this whole existential crisis every time I try to do it anyway, because I'm like, I don't know, you know what I mean? Like, it's a whole bizarre thing. And I'm like, Patreon, I don't need you involved. I have to go through enough shit to deal with this whole thing. And I'm like, why am I going through this Cartesian existential crisis? And I'm like, I keep on writing, like, authoring emails, like, I don't know, like okay, confession time. This introduction is going to be a little mushy, and it's not. Oh, don't want to read that part. Oh God. But I don't understand. But maybe I need to look at the years, but I don't understand. Because if we put things in chronological order, hold on, no, because look, I think boobies, trans fat. Damn it. This is so stupid. I mean, not this. No. My whole reaction to this whole thing is bizarre. Anyway, I gotta get over this. No, I'll just. Oh, God. Let me just go. Like, I don't want to. Okay. Okay. Let me. I'll pick it up from here. I don't want to go like. Okay. So anyway, so basically, like in high. Okay. So, oh, Jesus Christ. Okay. Ages ago, when I was a freshman in high school, I had a boyfriend, or at least he was in every sense but name. Back then, I refused to admit to him or others that we were together. I insisted that it wasn't possible for me to be gay or bisexual because of my family and my religious upbringing. I was raised in the Mormon faith. Despite my arguments to the contrary, somehow every other person in school knew I was gay, or at least mostly gay with the only occasional bisexual leanings. That year, when we passed yearbooks around for signing, most of the comments were about my relationship with my boyfriend, about how it was their favorite gay man, or other similar comments. I didn't admit it at the time, but these comments filled me with great joy to read. Even if I couldn't recognize or acknowledge these things, others saw me, loved me, and supported me without me being able to do so myself at the time. Of course, as the trials of life would present it, a church leader from my local congregation happened to see my yearbook and insisted I needed to go through and scribble, or better yet, blacken out all the instances where anyone inferred I was gay or bi. And I did, unfortunately. I even wrote in big capital letters in one spot, "I'm not gay." Then at some point, I can't remember, I went back and scribbled that out too, a visual representation of the struggle I was going through during my teens and 20s. It is a hard lesson to look back on that yearbook and learn from those experiences only now, 16 plus years later. Do the math. After my freshman year of high school, I did the math just to figure out if it was legal. After my freshman year of high school, I committed myself to be more righteous and threw myself completely into performing a straight lifestyle, even though I still never felt quite right in my own experience and never fit in with the completely straight brothers of my church congregation. My love of theater, singing, acting, wearing makeup, well, yeah, girly shows like She-Ra and My Little Pony, and even my love of the color pink disqualified me from ever really being part of their straight and narrow group. And despite my constant insistence to myself, my family, and others that I was 100% straight, I had a few more gay encounters in my teen years. Less so after that, since I served a 2-year church service mission and then attended a religious college with a strict honor code. In that time, I forced myself to forget all these memories and to move forward. Even after I finally left the religion of my childhood for a sort of personal mashup of Christianity and paganism, I still held on to so many of my ingrained homophobic teachings from my youth. If I laugh, okay, inappropriately, it's not because of anything to do with homosexuality. It'll have to do with the awkwardness of the inclusion of a bizarre cultural reference. You'll see what I mean. It wasn't until I was sitting watching the Netflix TV show Glow with my wife during a scene at a gay nightclub. That's a terrible show. That I suddenly had a wave of these memories and feelings come crashing back, a reminder hitting like a tidal wave. I turned to my wife and said, "I think I might be gay." No, so listen, no, here's what you have to understand. Because you have to understand how my mind thinks. I wasn't prepared for this story. I've heard a lot of awkward coming out stories. But there's so much here because it's like the context. It's like it's because you just had the Mormon background. You just had the introduction to the Mormon background and trying to live the normal lifestyle. So you're like, is she a Mormon too? Like, was this like some sort of like straight Mormon like hookup? But then there's other photos. There's like drawings of him, oftentimes like two women embraced and kissing. One of which looks like a feminized representation of what might be Noah Patterson. So I'm like, you know what I mean? Like the mind wanders, and then they're watching Glow, which is a terrible show with very fine actresses, and it's too much, and it's just the notion of just it's the so many the 1,000,008 mental movies that I can construct of the possible. Like I immediately had like 108 different women in my mind at that moment that could have received that information. Do you know what I mean? Like could have been like, yep, okay. You know what I mean? Because it's like a final, you know what I mean? Like, yep, I really, you're gay. Like, or it could have been like a whole bunch of different, like I wasn't there, you know what I mean? But it's just I mean, if you're going to make a movie, that could be a scene, right? Definitely. And I pray to powers, for what it's worth, that people are able to hear me discuss these things or read these words and not be insulted, and just know that this is another human being organically responding to your human beingness in print, just and being, I said that I was going to set this video up and I was going to respond to these things organically, and this is I'm talking about this material, and this is in this material, and wondering about these things. I don't know why why I fixate on these. Why'd you put this in there, Noah? People don't often, I don't have, you know what I mean, like, you know what I mean, I don't know. And still it remains that there are things in this material that is not covered or broached in the basic edition rule book or in the advanced character guide. What does that mean? I don't know. It's weird he was watching gorgeous ladies of wrestling with his wife. Well, it's not. I wouldn't consider that. I wouldn't consider it weird that he was watching gorgeous ladies of wrestling with his wife. The fact that he was watching, it's just I think it's generational. It's very odd to me. This is part of I think what I find fascinating about Noah Patterson is the notion that this person having transformational. I think it's the fact that I'm having such a wonderful experience with material that's being generated by a person that I feel has a native sense of naivete about the world. Like, you know what I mean? That I think that's I think that's what's making me feel like I'm having this turnaround. It's also, you have to understand that this is also, you have to understand that I'm one of these, like, it's impossible to get away from the notion that that this has nothing to. Well, a lot of this is interpersonal, not between. This is what I mean. There's a lot of stuff going on in my world. Yada. Oh, here's how to explain it. For anyone who might be offended or think that my overfixation on Noah Patterson's sexuality or his relationship with his wife, or what's going on with him, or his gender, his use of pronouns, is something, I you know what I mean, forgive me. I'll have to beg your forgiveness. I'll have to beg your forgiveness and just say that, I'm having a mental health year. We'll call it that. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? It just is what it is. You know what I mean? And so I apologize. Noah, if you're out there. I don't even know. My words are not designed to offend, but they may offend. You know what I mean? I apologize. But anyway, I certainly don't mean to call you naive. I didn't mean to call you naive. I think you are naive. No, I don't. That'd be assumption on my part. I have no idea. I've never met you. Anyway, you're certainly a workaholic. Anywho. This would have been a lot easier if there were people in the live chat prepared to talk about Chapbook RPG. Having said that, it's not your fault in the live chat that you weren't, because, like I said at the outset, this is a discussion in want of an audience. Neither here nor there. So I guess you could say that we began our preliminary discussion of Rainbow Unicorn Quest. Hey, here's what I'm going to do. Should we speed round? Rainbow Unicorn Quest, as you know. So I haven't obviously played all these games. What does it mean to play these games? These games are all based around the same basic premise. And hold on, because I got another distraction coming up. God, if I'd stayed, I always do. This is part of the reason I need to avoid live streams. I have a feeling like this is my nightmare. I am so paranoid that I'm going to um get like indicted or like canceled because of some sort of like horrible misunderstanding because I cannot, um because nobody knows that I mean no offense. Anyway, I think the most basic iteration or like 1.5 iteration of, for want of a better term, micro Chapbook RPG rule set, I am almost certain I can memorize or anyone can memorize. And I think I have part of it already memorized. And part of my upset with the Academy of Mistahog and its predecessor, the Dragons of Dragork, in the micro RPG Midnight series, and its given statement of the micro RPG rules might have been triggered by the fact that they so do derivate from the micro RPG rules as they've been given, even up to, I think, the in some instances, the basic edition and even the advanced edition, because there are things being added and modified. And like I said, I don't begrudge the author changing or transforming things over time. What I think I may have touched on last time is that it may be that what Noah may want to do, and I think that it's good. We see them this year coming out with different systems. Maybe that'll be good. That it's just that they need to explore and create some different systems, so there's not a need to transform micro RPG too much or add too many additional rules, so that things get too changed that it becomes something that's maybe unrecognizable, perchance. Um, not that um, some may disagree with me. Some may say that my analysis of the changes are extreme. That that it's not so different. But I think they are. The power moves are new to the Midnight series, and yet they are not introduced. And this weakness system, in lieu of the previous um, system of simply adding a -1 or a +1 to your rolls um, uh, due to loss of willpower. That's new, and that's fine that there's a new system, but you know it's a new system that's being introduced less than 2 years after we just got what you had said was going to be, the kind of the what everything was going to refer back to. And when you see a system that's evolving that fast, where within what essentially would be like a couple of months, you've already moved on, that's a fast moving system. There you go. Reemsy, remember that most people who squawk about being offended are not really offended, just attention seekers, cancer, death, kidney failure, offensive conditions, pronouns, not so much. Yeah, I really wouldn't be worried so much about people being worried about those things. I'd be more worried about like Noah or because if I'm going to somebody, he's their personal story. And again, I keep on using pronouns. Hooker, tell me what you. But then again, I'm sympathetic because I don't know if they know what their pronouns are. Anyway, there you go. And people want you to have pronouns in this culture, right? Isn't that the thing? But anyway, and it is what it is. But another thing that was interesting to me that I thought would be so I was talking about memorization of the system. This is bug ship. This is one of the first kind of, maybe not. Well, this is one of the first sci-fi instances of the system. And you see, we talked about this before. When the system first came out, this is why it was called micro chapbook. Because you would take 2-3 pieces of paper, you'd print it out, and then you'd fold it, and that was the chapbook. That was the role-playing game. That was how beautiful it was. And you see, the rules are. Here's the introduction. It's 2-3 sentences. Here's what you need. 2-3 sentences. 2 6-sided dice, graph paper, note paper, pencil with eraser. This chapbook. Here are the explanation of the rules. During play, you always roll 1d6, trying to score equal to or lower than your stat score. Stats are strength, dexterity, wits, and charisma. If you are proficient, you roll 2 dice. Take the better of the result of the 2. 1 is always an automatic success. 6 is always an automatic failure. Note when you see ID3, 1D3, it means you roll a die and half the result rounding up. Now, of course, when you get from these simple 1-page or 2-pagers to the next stage up, which would be like the deluxe core rule books, these 1 paragraphs out the rules get expanded out, but still the rules are essentially the same. And then here you have the rules for character generation, which always, when I say memorizing the rules, I saw a great video that was talking about role-playing games and made the distinction between the aspect of a game that's the open system and the aspect of the game that's the closed system. The closed system is the rules, and the open system is like the fluff and the flavor and like the pronouns and the nouns and the characters and the whether it's a science fiction or a fantasy setting, right? Whether the classes are soldier, ranger, tech, and diplomat, or elf, wizard, fighter, or cleric, whatever. You know what I'm saying? Whether it's a sword or a laser blaster, a revolver, or a phaser gun, right? That would be the open system, and the closed system would be ranged weapon 1 does ID6 worth of damage on the chart, right? The closed system is the hard rule. The open system is the flavor, that the world that is constructed around that world and that those rules are underpin the action of. Is this game an IRS tax form? Yes, absolutely. Let's order up an IRS witch. Okay, so when I talk about the ability to memorize the basic the closed system of the game, is I can tell you that there's 4 basic, so I can tell you like if I were to try and test myself now on what the basics of micro chapbook RPG is, I might not get 100% on the test, but if I were to I know I would get. What I would do is the basics of the game is that it's a basic game of centered around. If I try to do the fantasy setup, I would do. It's a basic game centered around a solo gameplay of essentially centered around a dungeon crawl adventure where a single character generates dungeons room by room, populates them with monsters, defeats those monsters, culminating in an end boss battle, hopefully surviving, uh, gathering loot and treasure along the way, and at the end, uh, hopefully surviving, gaining experience, leveling up, buying new equipment, improving, and tackling another adventure with a different set of monsters, or tackling this adventure again with another randomly generated dungeon and another random assortment of monsters. And the way that you would play this game would be as follows. Number one is to understand the basic mechanics of the game. Is the way the game is played is as you are going through the game, you're going to be resolving the various combat steps and the various tasks that you're going to be doing in the game, like unlocking doors or un, you know, undoing traps, disarming traps by doing stat rolls, like in any role playing game like Dungeons and Dragons, or doing a stat roll. And it's a roll under system, meaning that you're going to have a series of stats: strength, dexterity, wits, and charisma, right? And for each of these stats is going to be used for different, set tasks that you're going to encounter in the dungeon, during your regular course of play. So when these various skills are called for, you're going to roll. All your rolls are done basically with a 1d6, and so your skills are going to be ranked, but either the lowest rank you could possibly have in any skill, any stat, is a 1. Okay, and the highest you can have in any skill in the basic game is a 5. Okay, and that makes sense because a 1 in this game, a roll of a 1 on a 6-sided dice, is an automatic success. If you see a 1 show up on your dice during combat or during any stat roll, you've automatically won. If you roll a 6, go fuck yourself. You automatically failed. Okay, if you get any other result, you got to compare that to your stat score. If you're doing a dexterity roll, if you're trying to shoot an arrow at a wolf or something, and you have a stat score of, say, 3, if you roll a 2, that's a success because you rolled under your stat score of 3. Okay, then there might be certain conditions that hurt you in a dungeon. You might be in a particular room that's got, say, it says it's dark in that room, so it's got a modifier of +1. Now, +1 is a bad modifier because remember, you're trying to roll under, so a +1 modifier hurts you, right? So if it's dark, it's a +1 to your dexterity because it's dark in there. That sucks. So if you rolled, if you got a score of, if your dexterity is a 3 and you rolled a 3, oh great. But if it's a +1 there, oh no, that turned into a 4. It doesn't work for you. But later on, we'll discuss something called willpower. If you've got a willpower left over, you could spend a willpower point to re-roll one of your failed things, as long as it wasn't one of those deadly 6 automatic failures. Okay. Now, so we understand what the stats are and how you're going to roll. Some other times you're going to be asked to do some other, the rules may ask you to do some other sort of dice roll besides a 1d6. Might be a 1d3. That's just you roll a 1d6 and half the score and round up. You might also get a 1d2. That just means you roll a 1d6 and it's odds. Odd numbers are a 1. Even numbers are a 2. That's how you do a 1d2 with a 6-sided dice. Okay. So then it gets to character creation. Your basic micro chapbook RPG system, not worrying about any of the later instances. Here's a basic system. You're going to have 7 stat points to assign. If you want more, if you find the basic game a little too hard, you use 9. You're going to assign those between those stats: the strength, dexterity, the wits, and the charisma. Okay, you're going to be using your strength as your basic, combat skill. Strength is very important. Okay, dexterity is when you use for ranged weapons and some finesse skills. Wits is for things like undoing traps and stuff locks and doors and stuff. And charisma is if you need to do things like influence certain people and certain things, and also it has to do with some of the bravery check that you're going to have to do at the beginning of every combat to make sure you don't get psyched out by your opponent. That's a very important thing that matters, as far as the combat is concerned. We'll get to that when we talk about how combat is concerned. Okay, take a breather here. How am I doing so far? This is because the material is so repetitive. I read it over and over again. I memorize. So that's why don't change the system, Noah. Change the system, I'll go crazy. That's why I memorized it. All right, so here you go. So where was I? Okay, then where was I? That's the part I have like solid gold. And then you go, okay, so then what part do you go do next? And then you go, and then okay. So then you decide how many points to allocate to those different things. You use 7 points, 9 if you're nasty. You only use 7 points if you're going to use one of the later iterations. Later on in the systems, what ends up happening is that later systems will only tell you to use 7. We'll take out those extra 2 points because they'll use those 2 extra stat points they'll use them in different game systems. They'll like in the Gay Realms system, they have you join different orders that use those 2 extra stat points to do things, but don't assign them there. Don't worry about that. Reemsy, I won't remember these rules. Don't worry, you will. Once you take my course and I teach you how to memorize them, you will. You'll have to. You'll have to. There's no choice. There's no choice in there. You'll have to. It's required. It's not required. Anyway, then look at and then what you call it? See, and then what you call it? And then blah blah blah. Oh, and then where we go? And then after you do that, then you roll two. I think you roll 2d6 to figure out your money, how much money you have. Oh no! You figure out your substats, and your 2 substats are health and willpower, and your health is your strength and your dexterity plus either 20 plus 30. Okay. And that's going to be, that's your like basically your hit points. And your willpower is your charisma and your wits plus 20 or 30, depending on whether you want a harder and easier game. The more the better. And those will points are kind of like your mental health points. And those are important when it gets to combat. Next, you're going to figure out how much money you have to buy equipment. And you roll 2d6. And some systems, the earlier systems just had you roll, I think, 2d6. And later iterations had you add 2d6 plus allowed you to add your charisma score stat to it for more money. Then you buy the equipment. Now, here's the thing where I don't have it quite memorized quite yet, but I think I could take a swing at it. There are basically, I think in the first 5 adventures published, there were 5. I think there were 4 entries for ranged weapons and 4 entries for melee weapons each. And so just not worrying about the names of them, but just worrying about the closed system of the melee weapons. The first one was an ID3 weapon. Then it was like an ID3 plus 1, an ID6, An ID6 what? No, I'm way. That's where the weapons are where I totally fall apart. But then I think I'll just guess it. I'll just flub it. ID3 plus one, ID6 plus one, and same for ranged. And the credits, the gold was 2468 down the line. That's what I'll guess. And I'm totally wrong. But what do I have? Let's try to choose. Yeah, I do. I validate parking. Yes, absolutely I do. I also display pedantic skills of irrelevant information retention. Then so you buy that, and then there's weapons, and then there's armor. There's armor and there's consumables, and the consumables. Okay, so here we do this. Then the armor is it's a hat. It's a small hat that adds 3 will. Then it's a small item that adds 3 health. Then it's a medium item that adds 6 will. Then there's a medium item that adds 6 health. And then there's something that adds like 6 of both, right? And then for the items are numbered 2 through 6 on the side, and that's for the treasure rolls. That's an aside. And then it's, hey, an old time Western gang. Where do you get a shirt like that? Would love a Frogger one. How you? Hey, listen, Amazon, same place where I get my micro Chapbook RPG fixations. Welcome to the show, An Old Time Western Gang. Thank you for joining us on Twitch. All right, baby. Good to see you. Then the items are an item that does 1d3 replenishment of will, an item that does 1d3 replenishment of health, an item that does 1d6 replenishment of will, an item that does 1d6 replenishment of health, and finally an item that does full replenishment of health and will. Okay, that's what I think it is for the items. Should we should we test myself? When should we test myself? I feel like we should test myself now on that. How close do we get? The way that we would do that is, let me close this. Hold on. I will do this. Here's how I'll do this. Let me do this. The way that I'll do this, I know how to do this. I know where to look that up. I know exactly where to look that up. Check this out. I have so much microchip RPG on my computer. Hold on. Where am I? I could do, wait, I'll go to, should I do Field of Dire Souls? Crypt of the Damned. Castle of the Dead. The first Castle of the Dead. Check this out. Look how close I was. Check this out. This is like the Castle of the Dead is like the 4th one. Yo. Oh, kiss my ass. What am I doing? Hold on, wait. Shut your mouth. There we go. Oh, wait. What you doing? There we go. There you go. Check this out. Yo. What is Castle of the Dead? It's all just simple role playing game. So check this out. Let's match this. Let's match this. Let's match this against what I said. What is Castle of the Dead? It's an ultra simple role playing game that can be played solo or with a traditional GM if you so wish. What you need: a 6-sided dice, graph paper, no paper character sheet, a pencil, the eraser, this chapbook. Rolling. During play, you always roll 1d6, trying to score equal to or lower than your stat score. If you're proficient, roll 2 dice and take the better result of the 2. 1 always succeeds, 6 always fails. Note, when you see 1d3 means you roll a die and half the result rounding up. I got all that so far, right? I got all that. Characters: to create a character, do the following stats. You have 4 statistics: strength, dexterity, wits, and charisma. You have 7 points to assign between them as you see fit. No stat can score lower than a 1 or higher than a 4. I said higher than a 5, but that's because I went beyond, because I was talking about like ultimately it can't be higher than a 5 because wait, what's this? Oh no. It can't be ultimately it's the cops. It can't be ultimately higher than a 5 because 6 is an automatic failure, so that nothing can be higher than it. Makes no point. There's no point in making a stat higher than 5 because the 6 is an automatic failure regardless. There's later on rules where it allows you to like go beyond this and have like level dice and whatever, but that's not the system that we're working about. I didn't do this to choose a class, there are 4 to choose from. Each one will make you proficient in one area. I didn't do that. I didn't talk about that. The proficiency: proficient in strength, proficient in dexterity, proficient in wits, proficient in charisma. I didn't talk about did I talk about proficiency, rolling 2 dice? I think I talked about rolling 2 dice, but I didn't talk about choosing a class in character creation. So I didn't talk about that. Race: choose a race, grants you a bonus to 1 stat. I kind of talked about gaining 7 points, but then turning to 9. But then I didn't. You know what? I didn't cover class and race. I skipped over that. I skipped over class and race, and I went right to substats. So I skipped over a step with character creation. It's not that I don't know about it. It's not that I don't have it memorized. I just didn't give it to you. But that's failing the test. Like I said, let's test me. I didn't tell it to you. That's me failing it. Health: your health is your strength and dexterity plus 20, plus 10 for a challenge. I did it in reverse. I gave it to you plus 30. But that's just me looking at Castle of the Dead as an example to test to check myself. Trust me, I didn't get that wrong, because there's plenty of them that'll give it the other way to say 30 for making it easier. Same thing with will. Weapons: roll 2d6 to determine your gold. You may buy equipment now. I got that right, 2d6. Weapons have a damage rating and a cost in gold. Yada, yada. Here, spike gauntlets, 1d3. 1d3 plus 1. Oh, they went 1d3 plus 2. Remember that? I automatically went to 1d6. Oh, they 1, 2, 3, 4. Wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. What did I have? I had 4. They have 5. And that's it. They have another 1d3 plus 2. I went 1d3, 1d3 plus 1, 1d6, 1d6 plus 1. Remember? That's what I did for melee, and I said the same thing for ranged. But here's the thing. When I talk about having these things memorized and the open and closed system, the closed system for character generation is always the same. For weapons and armor, that's where it gets for KZ. It's not consistent. If you go to the first 5 adventures that are produced in the consolidated collection, or you look at them independently, or if you look at them consolidated in the updated core rulebook, that's the melee weapons and the ranged weapons is where they go. They're not consistent. Or in the room types of the doorway. And then in the armor, I said what I say. The first thing is a small. I said it's a small hat that's plus 3 will. And then I said it's a small thing that I think I said shield. It says, or said something. It says 3 health, 3 health, 3 will, 6 health, 6 will, plus 6 health and will. I got that. I didn't give you the numbers, but look at the numbers for the 2, 3, 4, 4, 5. I got the numbers wrong. But 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 6, 7, 8. I wasn't bad on those numbers, but the ranged weapons, the difference is they got different damage on these. So I could memorize those. I I failed on giving you the information back, but I feel like I have that information memorized solid. I feel like I have all this first section I have it memorized dead. I know that much. I don't have weapons memorized. I don't have armor, and I have items memorized dead on. Here, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I told you the numbers. The items are numbered 2 through 6 for the treasure roll, and I said it's a 1d3 health, 1d3 wits, 1d6 health, 1d6 will. Last item, full health and will. And then I didn't give you the cost, but it's 1G, 1G, 2G, 2G, 6G. You get that memorized in lickety split. And this armor, you can get that memorized in lickety split. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 items. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 items. Half of that I'll remember. I get that memorized in 2 seconds. And if you standardize, if a person wants to standardize what they want their weapons damage rating and their gold cost to be, then the names is open system. The names is part of open system. Fighter, wizard, ranger, bard, that's all open system. Human, halfling, dwarf, elf, that's all open system. Shield, magic cap, cloak, chainmail, blessed armor, that's all open system. These numbers, closed system. Why am I making the distinction between open system and closed system? Because when I have the closed system memorized, what does that mean? That means that me, Cable Guy Incognito, CW Chanter, Benjamin, if I have this stuff memorized, that means have gun will travel. That means if I've got 2 6-sided dice, a pencil, a piece of paper, graph paper, regardless of whether or not I have one of Noah Patterson's micro chapbook RPGs in my hand, if I have this stuff memorized, that means I can do the following. I need to come up with the name of 5 ranged weapons, 5 melee weapons. Once I get to the monsters, I'll need the name of 10 monsters that I want to fight. Once I memorize the closed system damage potential of them, their life force, whatever those statistics are, you can memorize this information. What is the point that I'm trying to make? Once you have this system, the closed system memorized, you will be able to create any role-playing game you want to using any cast of characters, any system, any world you want to that you can play. Look, it's not going to be a robust 5e. It's not going to be Steve Jackson's GURPS. You know what I mean? But it's going to be a simple tabletop role-playing solo adventure that you can play. You want to play Kermit the Frog invades Superman's Fortress of Solitude in order to steal Lois Lane's dildo in micro chapbook RPG? Yeah. If you have the closed system memorized, you can do it. Lickety split, no problem. Superman's the boss, no problem. All you need to do is figure out how you want to assign them, right? Are you following me so far? An old timey. Did you follow that part? Here's an old timey Western gang says, "Sorry, can we ask what the discussion is about? We chose Paladin. The discussion is loosely about micro chapbook RPG, and quite frankly, we're probably coming up on the end of our video because we've been here for about an hour and 23 minutes, and it's a shame that this part of the video is happening now, post the what's up with Noah Patterson's sexuality confusing portion of it, because I feel like that's where things are going to get demented for people. And I feel like if they hit this part first, then they would be like, okay, this guy's obviously committed to this material, so this other part at least has some context. But I feel like without this part, they're going to hit that part and be like, this guy is just fixated. Something's happening with this person. Who knows? Could you choose a paladin? You could choose a paladin, not necessarily in the rules as given, but if you wanted to choose a paladin, all you need to do is pick one of these people that you thought would be adequate as a paladin and do so. In one version of Micro Chapbook RPG, oh, Shazbot, I can't believe I bring these ones out. Okay, here we go. Look at this. Can you believe this? How much of an obsessed fan am I? Not only do I have all this stuff here with me, and then in my backpack, oh my God, I've got 3 more books. Can you believe this? The ones that I'm actually playing right now. Oh my God, I've got a problem. Did a full review of Blood for a Dollar, the weird Western one. Check this out. When it comes to the section on, we didn't do combat yet. When it came to the section on character creation for Blood for a Dollar, they have this wonderful language that's so explicit. Crafting your own class. If none of the given classes appeal to you, feel free to craft one of your own. To do this, simply think of any class you would want to play as. What is their background, history, and skills? What proficiency would they have? Write in the class name and stat proficiency on your sheet. You see, when class in Micro Chapbook RPG, it's a very simple system. It's a very simple system. So if you wanted to choose a paladin, basically your class would only really affect, in this iteration of the game, this simple iteration of the game, and the game has more complex versions. So we made reference to, and I highlighted the PDF earlier for the advanced character creation book. That one I do believe has a paladin. Oh, you're very welcome. You're very welcome. And speaking of entertainment, here's Reemsey. I followed the instructions, but I failed to get the little man to flip into the tub, and the boat did not kick the ball down the stairs, and the mouse is still loose. Micro Chapbook RPG is unforgiving. Listen, this is the Dark Souls of tabletop solo RPG games. You're not going to get the man to flip into the tub and the boot did not kick the ball down. It's not going to happen the first time. The mouse is going to be loose your first couple of playthroughs, without a doubt. Without a doubt. You're going to fail the bravery check on that mouse the first couple of times, without a doubt. No doubt. It's happening. Do you know what I mean? It's going to take a minute. But you'll get there. You'll get there. So once you get it under your cranium, once you get the basics under your cranium, you can run a dungeon crawl under basically using any kind of imaginary scenario you want to, and that's really really cool to me. I mentioned this, like within a couple of months of starting to play and experiment with this system, I was watching the classic Ozzie Davis and Bruce Campbell buddy flick, Bubba Hotep, right? And immediately thought to myself, you could set this up in Micro Chapbook RPG, easy. You know what else you could set up? I thought you could set up in Micro Chapbook RPG in a heartbeat as a sustainable. Probably you could do it as a campaign if you wanted to with multiple people. Half-baked, no doubt. You've got 4 central characters: Thurgood, Scarface, Goat Boy, whatever the hell that guy's name was, and the guy that goes to prison for whatever reason. I can't remember that movie. It's been a while since I've seen the movie. Whatever. You got the boss guy. What's his face? Barbados Slim, whatever his name was. You know what I mean? Figure out what Thurgood is, like the smart guy. So you make him, be, have him be the plus, the plus guy in wits. You could run it with 3 characters, because you can run this game. If you want to run one guy at a time, you can run one guy at a time. Also, this sort of system, it's like I see some of the responses or some of the reviews on Amazon. It's like people are kind of funny. People say things like, "Oh, I like 4 Against Darkness better because you can play with 4 guys at once." We could do this with this system because there's different rules set up. there's a great game we have here called the Guildhall Gambit that is specifically designed to have you run multiple characters at a time, and kind of using them as a kind of like a squad of trainees. So there's all sorts of different variations on the system that you can run. You know, here's Reemsy. I can't even pass level 42 on Candy Crush. Seriously, but you can pass this. You can pass this. But that's the sort of thing that just fascinates me. But anyway, so like maybe what I'll do is I'll come back and I'll try some more. Uh, I'll come back and I'll try to next time we do this sort of thing, I'll try to see if I can have memorized a little bit more and wowie zowie you with a little bit more of my memorization. Hopefully at that point, I'll try to have doubled backed and done a little bit more work on maybe trying to take a look at the first couple of published adventures from this game when it was just the couple of pages, to see if I could pick a kind of standardized set of ranks and costs for weapons and armor, to have a thing to memorize, and then to do the same thing with room types. And the hardest thing is going to be probably the enemies. Let me get to the enemies. Where is it? Well, actually not. There's 6 enemies, and each enemy has, am I still sharing the screen? Yeah. Has 1, 2, 3, 4 stats. Combat I have memorized already. Treasure I've memorized already. Boss and leveling up rules is memorized. Easy. Yeah. And I don't have it exactly memorized as it's given in Castle for the Dead and these early ones. But if I could kind of standardize, kind of what I felt was a standard monster lineup. Like I said, I just want to have a memorized 1.5, 1.25, or even a 1.1 micro chapbook RPG game that I can know that I've got memorized, that I can just, because the fantasy is, like I said, like I just love that concept of just if I had the stats, the closed system memorized of a 1.2, a 1.25 or 1.5 micro chapbook, system memorized, essentially, that I could throw the extra luck dice onto if I wanted to. But if I had the basics memorized, that I could be like I said, Kermit the Frog, Fortress of Solitude, Bruce Campbell's the bad guy, is the ultimate boss, and the enemies are Zombie Hello Kitty is the first enemy, followed by necrotic zombie lord, dildo monkey, followed by whatever, what I mean, just to be able to be like that, like here's the thing, check this out. This guy's like this is like the if Noah Patterson is like Richie Rich, then Ewan Clooney is like, who's like Richie Rich's nemesis, like that black-haired kid? Or like if Noah Patterson is like Josie, then this guy Ewan Clooney on Drive Through RPG self-published is like that black-haired gal. Don't worry about who this person is, but whatever, like it's like they're like this, like whatever, but like like the anti Noah Patterson, but whatever, like, but you could just use their stuff to for the random tables to get like the bad guys. Like you want to get the bad guy could be a shy space princess, shrine maiden, armed with a mop, who can do Oh, I closed it already. But you know what I'm saying? Could do that. Something. It'd be awesome. That's it. Anyway, I love you. I love you. I love you. If nobody told you they loved you today, somebody just did. That somebody is Cable Guy Incognito. You tell me. The old timey Western gangsters, what would be the best weapon? The blues horn of ice? It's all contextual. You tell me. And you also asked if I was the DM. This is a game. The micro Chapbook RPG system is essentially set up to be a solo game, but could be played with the DM. Could be played as a DM with multiple people, or could be played. The great thing about it could also be played co-op with no DM, which I think would be great because then no one has to be either the baby Hitler or baby God, or doesn't have to miss out on the fun. Let's pull a tarot card, as I'm wont to do. From the Osho Zen Tarot. Oh my, I'm not gonna do it. I won't say. Just let it go. Let bygones be bygones. I hope I haven't offended. I hope I've only. My God, my nightmare scenario is that like Noah Patterson will see this video and be like, or be like really offended. Oh my God, or be like, what is this nightmare situation? Who is this person? Like, why are they talking about me? Why are they reading my words? Like, why are they doing this to me? But I don't understand. Like, oh God, I feel like it's screwed. I always feel like it's something terrible. Like, why do I do this? Like, why would I go into why? Like, who does this? Like, who is like, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to do a review of somebody's like tabletop RPG system for like no reason whatsoever. Let me make like a central aspect of the review, like an in-depth analysis of their like coming out story at the beginning. But like, let's get all weird about it and be like, they didn't provide their pronouns, so let's make like a real big deal about it. But let's get like a big deal about it like over the course of like 8 episodes, and like let's like never let it go. Let's stay on it. An old timey Western gangsters can be played through Twitch. Sure, absolutely, it could be played through Twitch. Queen of Fire. Did somebody say share? It's interesting. Reemsy, you said share with an exclamation point previously. Juicy J says, is the creator's relevant story, backstory relevant? I think so. That's why I read it. I mean, I'm obsessed. But then again, sharing. They shared. They shared. I heard. I read out loud. Queen of Fire. In a traditional tarot deck, this would be Queen of Rods. Words and idioms notwithstanding, she doesn't have a cat. That's actually it's a meal. It's some fine fruit like a pomegranate. Looks like an open pomegranate, and some grapes. It's a little bit hard to see because of the candle. The light of the candle is bringing forth, and the word underneath her is sharing. And this is this maternal feminine energy. This is the feminine aspect of the suit of rods. The suit of rods is the suit of fire. This is that primal, often thought of as a masculine creative energy pushing out through the universe, looking for that divine feminine. But here we have the things mirror each other. A thing has to have an aspect of the other within itself to respond to the other, to being kind with the other. So this fire that brings forth this loving energy, this nurturing energy, and it gives. So it's a very auspicious card for us to pull at the end here. I came here to share. I think that this is a beautiful symbolic representation of what I hoped to do and what I hope happens here. I like and love this system. I would love to see this system have what other systems have. And as a fan of this system, I would love to have what other fans of other systems have on YouTube. More videos, more material, more community, more conversation, more reviews, more space, more prana, more activity. Because like attracts like. If there's a space for activity to occur, if there's a place for people to leave comments and interact, I think more interaction will occur. And I think if people get together and can start having conversations, then maybe people will play. Hey, there you go. Hey, baby, Don Quixote. What's going on, baby? Love it, love it, love it. How you doing, baby? How you doing, baby? We say love next card. So share what you love, share your love. Come on out, have some fun. Have some fun with us. I hope that Noah will eventually see these videos. Um, I do my best to put this stuff out there, and we'll see what happens next. We'll see what happens next. Um, uh, if you're interested in this stuff and in this material, I can tell you, this material is affordable, and I can also tell you this: if you want to, much like I just went through this whole speech about being able to memorize this stuff, here I'll tell you this. If you watch a lot of the YouTube videos of people talking about and playing this system, you'll pick it up. And if you go and over to Drive Through RPG, you'll see that a lot of this stuff, a lot of the early stuff especially, is available at what's known as pay what you want, which translates to throwing a dollar, or a lot of this stuff is, kind of basically free at this point. I know. Oh, yeah. Sorry to hear that, baby. I'm sorry to hear that. I saw that. I retweeted you're looking for space. Sorry to hear that. Feel free to reach out to me if there's anything I can do to help. Hopefully, try to see. Thoughts and prayers for what they're worth. Lord knows they're often not worth much, right? But thoughts and prayers. Jesus J says, I'm glad I tuned in. RPG Virgin. Ethereal says, chill with Cat. There you go. Okay, all right. Thank you for joining us, Ethereal. Here, I'll give you a card, Don Quixote. Let's get you a card. A card for your travels and your journeys. So we get a card for the ways, for the next couple of steps on the journey. For Don Quixote. This, my friend, is the Princess of Discs, the Princess of Rainbows, which is the Princess of Discs in a traditional tarot. and you can see that it's titled Adventure. Okay? Whether you chose the bohemian lifestyle or the bohemian lifestyle chose you, right? There are techniques and tools that you can use, and I don't want to be flip, and I don't want to be flippant, and I don't want to be glib, but I want to do what I can to help. And what I can do is we can take a lesson in reframing. You can take a lesson in reframing and say, the Princess of Discs, the Princess of Rainbows is on an adventure because she is. It is the definition of life. To be in the space and in the place of the experiencer of the transition state of the disempowered is to be in flux and to be experiencing that which can only be experienced in that state. And if I say too much, I run the risk of being pedantic or seeming unsincere or being pat or being cliche, or can only be what it is. The simple hard truth. It is what it is. Drop the tab, take the trip. It is what it is. Reframe it to the space of optimism, for that is where the best probability of success lies. To fall into a state of negativity is to fall into a state where the probability of failure increases exponentially. You must try to rise above. Always fighting against the increase of the probability of failure and striving always to increase the probability of success. Trying to remain positive in the face of opposition, as hard as it may be. In the space of cyberspace, we got words. May they do their job. May they work as magical spells upon you. And may they find you home. Wow. Queen of Fire, Princess of Discs. Well, our friend Don Quixote is neither here nor there, so we don't need to worry. It is what it is. You know what I mean? Like it is. Hey, you listen. Canada, America, overseas, underseas. It is what it is, baby. It is what it is. You know what I mean? None of it really matters. All that matters is being there. Until next time. Things work together more often than not. Take care, everybody. One love.